Everyone, and welcome to the Planning Commission meeting. If I could have everyone stand for the flag salute. I do have a flag, so that's something to direct your attention. Hands over your heart, and ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Continuing on with a roll call. Stephanie, if we could have a roll call.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Commissioner Guerrero?
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
Here.
Chair Sanchez?
Here.
Commissioner Quill?
I'm here.
Commissioner Flores?
Here.
Commissioner Lewis?
Here.
Commissioner Armstead right now is marked absent. Commissioner Chang and Morales are excused. We have quorum.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephanie. All right. Before we go to the consent agenda, we will go to the vote for a vice chair. So non-public hearing item number 1, a selection of interim vice chair to conclude the term.
Chair Sanchez, if I may.
Yes.
Would you like to ask if we just received any public comment for items not listed on tonight's agenda?
Oh, yes, of course. Do we have any public comments not listed for tonight's agenda?
No, we do not.
No? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Albert. All right, so going on to item number 1, non-public hearing item, selection of interim vice chair to conclude the current term, July 2020 to July 2021. So staff recommends that we elect a vice chair to conclude this term. It's a little informal, I think, how we do it. We usually just nominate someone, and then if someone has another person in mind, then we can go from there. I actually would like to nominate Miss Commissioner Amelia Lopez, Amelia Lopez, as she does have experience having done this, and in the last 2 or 3 meetings, she's actually taken over and concluded our meetings, so she knows what to do. And then when we come to July, we can do the whole vote again.
I would be happy to second that.
Perfect. So we have a motion.
I would second that.
Wonderful. If there's any counter motions, if not, then Stephanie, if we could have a vote on that.
Chair Sanchez,
Yes.
would you like to ask Commissioner Lopez if she accepts that nomination?
I just saw her nodding her head and I was like, oh, yeah, it seems to look good. Yes. Commissioner Lopez, would you like that nomination?
Can I protest? No.
No, you can't.
If it's okay with Oliver.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, and we have Commissioner Lopez who has accepted the nomination. Stephanie, if we could have a vote.
Of course. Commissioner Guerrero?
Aye.
Chair Sanchez?
Yes.
Commissioner Quill?
Yes, aye.
Commissioner Flores?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
And Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations, it's unanimous.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now we'll go on to the consent calendar. Mr. Huntley, do we have anything to report?
There's currently nothing to report.
Perfect. All right.
We actually, Chair Sanchez, we actually have approval of some minutes
Oh, below, yeah, correct.
from April 13th.
Yes. Approval of draft minutes. So for this and everything, I will first open it up to public public comment. If anyone wishes to speak on this item. If not, then I will close public comments for this, and I will entertain a motion to approve the draft of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 13, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All right. Stephanie, if we could have a vote roll call.
I didn't catch who the second was.
Commissioner Lopez, I believe.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Guerrero.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chair Sanchez.
Yes.
Commissioner Quill.
Aye.
Commissioner Flores.
Yes.
And Commissioner Lewis.
Yes.
The item is approved.
Perfect. All right. Moving on to public hearing item number 3. If we could have the staff report, please.
Yes, Madam Chair and members of the commission, the first item before you is for conditional use permit 2015 to allow the development, establishment, and operation of a express drive-through car wash containing approximately 2,194 square feet on a parcel containing approximately 0.46 acres. The project site is zoned CG1 and is located on the northwest corner of Mill Street and Stoddard Avenue. Project address is 488 West Mill Street. The property is currently vacant and is surrounded by commercial and office uses to the east, west, and north of the property. And then the National Orange Show is located to the south of West Mill Street. Can I get the next slide, please? This is the aerial map that shows the location of the property that's located on the northwest corner of Mill and Stoddard. Next slide, please. And this is the zoning map that shows the zoning designation of the subject property and the surrounding properties. So as I mentioned, the property is a CG1 zone, commercial general, and then there are industrial light zone properties on the east side of the property across on Stoddard Avenue. Next slide, please. This is a photograph of the existing site. A photograph was taken this afternoon, which shows the vacant property and its existing conditions. Next slide, please. So part of the development code, car wash facilities are permitted within the CG1 zone and are subject to approval of a conditional use permit. This again is for an express drive-through car wash, approximately 2,100 square feet in area, associated parking and landscaping. Can I get the next slide, please? The project site will provide direct access via a 26-foot wide driveway that's located along West Mill Street and a 26-foot wide driveway located also along South Stoddard Avenue. So those are the two access points to the property. The internal circulation has been designed to adequately accommodate the on-site vehicular circulation, which includes the access to the 2 drive-through lanes and the car wash tunnel, the off-street parking area, and the vehicle vacuum self-service area. The car wash building is situated along the west portion of the site. The actual car wash tunnel itself would be 65 feet in length and will be accessed through those 2 drive-through lanes that are located along the north portion of the site, and then will merge after the pay point into a single drive-through lane, exiting outside of this car wash tunnel along the southern portion of the site. Can I get the next slide, please? The design of the building will have a contemporary design. The building will incorporate a standing seam metal shed roof design at varying heights. It would have an aluminum storefront door along with windows. The design will use a combination of smooth finished cement board panels to emulate a metal design and cement plaster finishes in a variety of the blue and gray tones and some whites. The storefront will also incorporate an aluminum frame canopy just right above the main entrance of that building, and also some metal trim elements to further break up the facade. The car wash tunnel will feature a decorative aluminum frame glass sectional roll-up door to complement the contemporary design of the building. The vehicle vacuum self-service area will feature a shade canopy structure that will have a semi-arch design made of a canvas material with metal support members and an integrated vacuum system. Can I get the next slide, please? The project site will provide all new landscaping throughout the property, including along West Mill Street and also South Stoddard Avenue to further buffer the 2 drive-through lanes and the off-street parking area from the adjacent public right-of-ways. Next slide, please. With that, the proposed development is consistent with the policies of the city's general plan and complies with the standards of the city's development code. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation this evening that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 2021-013, finding that the project is categorically exempt pursuant to Section 15303 in accordance with CEQA, and also approving conditional use permit 2015 based on the findings of fact, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. That concludes my presentation, and the project applicant is also in attendance for tonight's meeting and is available for any questions. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. At this time, I would like to note for the record that Commissioner Armstead is present. And at this time, I'll open up the public hearing for this item. Stephanie, is there any public comments for this item?
Not for this item, Chair.
For this item. Perfect. If the applicant would like to speak or add to the report.
Hello, my name is Gabriela Marx. I am the architect for the project. How are you?
We're doing well.
Board members, we have reviewed the conditions of approval. I just have a question for Harold, and is whether or not the condition to do the asphalt overlay on Stoddard Avenue was incorporated into the final conditions of approval.
Yes, it is incorporated into the final resolution. And then we also have our traffic city engineer also present here tonight that can speak a little bit more on that as well if you need to.
Having said that, we have no issues with the rest of the conditions of approval, and we just want to thank the staff for the hard work on getting this project to the finish line.
Wonderful. All right, so what I'll do is I'll go down the list of commissioners, starting with Commissioner Guerrero. Any comments? Oh, sorry, Commissioner Guerrero, you're actually muted.
I unmuted myself, muted back up. No, actually, it looks like a very clean project. Very good use of the area there. So thank you.
Sorry, Commissioner Guerrero, you're actually muted. Wonderful. Commissioner Lopez, any comments?
No questions. It looks like a good project.
Good use of the area there.
Commissioner Quill, any comments?
Background.
Yes, I do have a comment. I would like to address it to the planner, perhaps. I'm familiar with that area and familiar with that property in its previous state, and there was some problems with entering and exiting off of Mill Street into that property because Mill Street is such a busy property. Did the planners take into account the traffic on Mill Street, and are they going to be entering in and out from the adjacent street or possibly exiting from Mill Street, or is there any comment?
Yes, thank you for that question, Commissioner. The traffic engineer has reviewed the traffic scoping form. There are conditions of approval that have been incorporated into the resolution. Just for the benefit of the commission, both of the proposed driveways will have ingress-egress access to the site. But along Mill Street, to answer your question, there will be a condition of approval where the customers, as they exit the site on Mill, will be only allowed to make a right turn only onto Mill going westbound. So there will be no left turning into the property or no left turning out of the property off of Mill.
Okay, that's a great addition because I was curious about that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Wonderful. Any other comments, Commissioner Quill?
No, other than any consideration, it looks like the area on the south east corner is where the trash container is going to be. Is that correct?
Stephanie, if you don't mind, if you can go ahead and put up the site plan for us.
More like in the middle of the site, the trash enclosure.
Yeah, so
I see. Okay.
To answer your question, yes, the proposed trash enclosure would be placed right at the center of the property. The location, the size of this trash enclosure has been reviewed by our public works staff and our waste hauler, and they are okay with the proposed location.
Okay, very good. I didn't look at that close enough. I thought it might have been on the southeast corner there. So thank you. That's a nice addition too. Yes, I think it's a nice project.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner Quill. Commissioner Flores, any comments?
One quick comment or clarification. How many parking spots are on there exactly? I read in the report that there's 2, but the diagram looks like there might be more.
The other ones are vacuum spaces.
Oh, okay, got
There's
it.
7 vacuum spaces, 2 parking spaces.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Armstead, any comments?
No, I have no comments on this.
Perfect. Commissioner Lewis, do you have any comments?
Yes, I think it's a really good project. I like the decor, the way it's laid out and everything. I am wondering, though, is there, I do understand over some of the plans that this will be connected to the city sewage. Is there some preliminary filterization of wastewater before it hits the city sewer system in the plans anywhere? I don't see any of that.
Yes, that is standard of all car wash systems.
Okay, so there is okay. Okay, that's all I just didn't see it. But yeah, other than that, it looks great. Looks really good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Commissioner Lewis. Much like my fellow commissioners, I didn't have many comments. I think the project looks great. I mean, we've drive by that area that quite a bit, that intersection to get everywhere. So seeing that vacant lot for many years, it's nice that there's something going to be built. The design looks good. It looks clean. I know that you guys have the 2 parking spaces for employees that'll be inside monitoring and taking care of things.
That's correct.
Is it just a storage that was the entrance there, or is it going to be a little convenience store just selling snacks or?
Yeah, they're going to have a couple of vending machines and, air fresheners. It's going to be very small.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted a clarification of what exactly was going to be sold.
Yeah, it's going to be a tiny, just, if you're waiting or if you want to just grab a water while you're vacuuming your car or buy a rag for wiping, that type of thing.
Okay, perfect. I guess the only other comment I have is, when would you guys get started?
As soon as we have building permits.
Building permits. Okay,
So
wonderful.
we will be submitting in about a month.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Additionally, will there be, I noticed on the report that there will be lighting. I didn't really see it on the map where exactly the lighting's going to be, or if there will be cameras, just so you know, as a precaution against vandalism or anything negative towards the building. Maybe Mr. Luna might be able to show us where there's going to be lights and whatnot?
Yeah, yes, and for the benefit of the commission, we actually do have a site plan that is in your packet that would show the photometric plan. It would be sheet E0.06. So they are proposing on-site lighting within the property. And we do have a standard condition of approval that talks about any of the illumination from this on-site lighting cannot spill on into the public right-of-way. So it has to be properly designed and shielded so that there's no kind of impact on the public right-of-way. As far as the security cameras, that is not something of a requirement for these types of facilities or uses, but if that's something that the commission would like to ask of the applicant, I'm pretty sure we can open that up for discussion.
It is our intent to have security cameras for sure.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, just so that, as a precaution, and also that is a very busy street. So in case, of anything, you might be able to catch, something on your cameras if police need it or whatnot. But also just a precaution for your site.
Yes.
I have no other comments. I think it looks great, and you have a good plan for going in and out without really disturbing or causing much havoc onto that street, as Commissioner Quill mentioned. Yes, Stephanie.
Sorry, I just wanted to let you know that Commissioner Chang had one question on the project. She did email in her comments previously because she wasn't going to be able to be here. Her question is, how many shifts per day? She did make note that the report provided documentation that there would be the operating hours of 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. with one employee per shift, but how many shifts per day are there?
I'm not sure if they're going to hire full-time employees or part-time employees. I know that at the beginning, the intent is to open less hours than that, but we wanted to request extended hours in case the demand requires it. So I'm thinking that at the beginning, it would just be 2 shifts. But as the demand grows, that may grow into 3. But the hours of operation will not change from what we requested.
All right, perfect. Thank you. I'll ask just by a show of hands if anyone has additional comments. If not, I will close public hearing for this item, and I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion we accept this project.
Second.
So we have a motion and we have a second. Stephanie, if we could have a vote roll call.
Of course. Commissioner Guerrero. Commissioner Guerrero? Oh, she may be frozen. Okay. Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Chair Sanchez?
Yes.
Commissioner Quill?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Albert, what do we do in the case of Commissioner Guerrero? Oh,
There we go. She said
thank
aye.
you.
Thank you, Commissioner Guerrero.
The project is approved.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Good night and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to agenda item number 4. If we could have the staff report, please.
Yes, Madam Chair and Planning Commissioners. Before I get started, I want to introduce myself. I know there's a number of newer Planning Commissioners who don't know who I am. I'm actually Michael Huntley. I'm the Director of Community and Economic Development. Fortunately, Oliver could not make it tonight, so I'm filling in for him on this item. So with that, the item in front of you tonight is a conditional use permit 21-06. Next slide. This is a conditional use permit to allow the establishment of a type 21 alcohol license. That's beer, wine, and distilled spirits, or what we refer to as a full alcohol license. The property in question is 196 West Highland. It's zoned CG1 or commercial. Next slide. Gives you some idea of where the property is located. The property is located on the north east corner of Highland and Mountain View Avenue. Before I move on, I just want to clarify, just so you can see the location. The ARCO station is directly to the south and across the street, and The 7-Eleven is Caddy Corner. Both of those do have alcohol sales licenses. Arco has a Type 21, which is the full alcohol license, beer, wine, and distilled spirits. And the 7-Eleven has just a Type 20, which is beer and wine. Next slide. This is the zoning map. You see the area that's currently zoned CG1, general commercial. The majority of the surrounding properties are also zoned CG1, and the properties directly to the north are zoned residential. Next slide. So currently, ABC allows for 3 off-sale licenses within the census tract. Now, I do want to provide some clarity to you. Probably, if you've driven or are familiar with the area, there are multiple facilities that have alcohol licenses in this area. But what's interesting, the census tract goes right down the middle of Highland Avenue. So when we look at what we call the public convenience and necessity finding that we typically talk about at these meetings, we'll typically talk about the number within the census tract. But in this case, in this census tract where this business is located, ABC does allow 3, but there's only 1 existing liquor license. As I've mentioned, there are 2 in the area. The Arco has a Type 21, which is the full beer, wine, and distilled spirits, and 7-Eleven has a Type 20, which is the beer and wine. So there's not, or the commission's not going to have to make a public convenience and necessity finding in this particular case. However, we do want to point out, as we looked at the police department statistics on this property, if you're familiar with the fact we have 219 reporting districts, the average crime rate is approximately 76. In this particular case, on this property, the crime statistics identify the fact that there are 179 crimes that exceeds the 76 average that we've mentioned. In this case, that would exceed the rate by 236%. Typically, we allow for some flexibility not to exceed 20% of the threshold, which would be a total of 91. But based on this fact, we have serious concerns associated with making a recommendation to the Planning Commission to support the conditional use permit for full alcohol sales. We do believe there's more than adequate facilities in this immediate area to provide beer, wine, and distilled spirits. So there's no lack of someone trying to identify or purchase product within this area. I also want to point out that based on the extreme nature of the number of crimes for service or in this area that exceeds the city's goal and objectives for reducing crime and ensuring or improving neighborhoods. As you're aware, directly to the north, it's a residential zone. Next slide. This just shows a slide looking westbound on Highland Avenue. The market that is requesting the alcohol sales is the one on the right-hand side or with the blue canopy. Next slide. And this is MT&H Food Market. They're the ones who are requesting to add beer, wine, and distilled spirits to their operation. As I've indicated, there's other establishments in close proximity that do provide adequate product sales. Next slide. And this is southbound again. I mentioned that the Arco does provide beer, wine, and distilled spirits, and 7-Eleven just beer and wine. Next slide. So it's staff's recommendation to the Planning Commission that you deny the request or deny CUP 21-06 based on the findings of fact, and there are quite a few findings identified in the resolution. We don't feel that this is an appropriate time in this area to allow for full alcohol sales based on the amount of crime within the area and the fact there are multiple establishments that already provide this service to the community. So with that, that concludes staff's presentation, and I'm available for questions if you have any.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Huntley.
Sure.
Chair Sanchez,
Yes.
if I may, I just wanted to point out 2 additional statistics from the police department's report. In this census tract, there were 89 what they call Part 2 crimes. It's kind of like a category Part 1, 2, and 3. I think 1 is the least violent or most minor, and Part 3 are like the most violent crimes. So there were 89 Part 2 crimes in the census tract, and 2 were alcohol related. This is in the last calendar year. And then within a half mile of the location of this market, there were 304 Part 2 crimes within a half mile of this location, and 8 of those were alcohol related.
Thanks, Albert.
Thank you. All right. At this point, I will open the item to public hearing. Do we have someone who is applying for this, an applicant? That is
Usually we would have direct contact with them before the meeting. Unfortunately, due to the fact Mr. Mojica's out of the office, we weren't able to identify if they would actually be on tonight. I do want to point out that there were a number of speakers actually the last council meeting who voiced some concerns associated with this as part of the council orals. I'm not sure if Stephanie will identify the fact that there are any public speakers also for this as well.
okay. Stephanie, is there any public comments?
We do have one public comment. It was shared with the commission prior to the meeting earlier today. Albert, would you like me to read it into the record? Okay.
Yes, it's a short one.
Okay. This public comment comes from Manal Iskander, who's the owner of the Green Shack just adjacent to the project. To all ward committee members, we have reached out to ABC upon receiving a letter allowing us to protest against the alcoholic beverage license application. Myself and other business owners, as well as few residents, sent the protest letters to ABC detailing the items ABC mentioned with legitimate reasons for license rejection. The business is located in a hub zone with a high population of homeless and crime. There are beer and wine choices all around the applying business. There is no public benefit served by the applicant's business. We are doing our best to clean up the area and offer other services to attract all kinds of patrons to the area. More alcohol and liquor to be ultimately consumed outside by homeless will create havoc on our parking lot. The homeless congregate in the abandoned building next door. We are continuously trying to clean that area up by refusing alcohol to our own customers who buy for the homeless. We will not have the ability to control the alcohol abuse to the homeless if they can merely buy it across the street. This is a huge disservice to the residents, businesses, and the city as a whole. ABC has also told us that if it gets past Planning Commission, it still has to be heard in front of ABC, and that would be another hearing. So can we just stop it here and now and try to build the city?
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay.
Mayor Sanchez, I don't recall, but if you didn't already, can you just open the public hearing for the record? I may have missed it.
Oh, yes, we opened public hearing for the, yes.
Okay, that's my mistake. Thanks.
So we'll go down the list of commissioners. Commissioner Guerrero, any comments? All right, no comments. No. All right, Commissioner Lopez, any comments?
I only have one. I'm wondering why, with such serious facts from the police department, why the police department made no recommendation. Is that a usual thing? I don't know if Mr. Huntley can answer that.
Sure. You've probably seen from your packets, that's a pretty regular thing. I will be talking to the chief, and we'll having more discussions when we have issues such as this. I think the police department needs to take a stand. Really, at the end of the day, they're the ones who have to deal with the calls for service, and they should be making a recommendation to the commission. So I will be talking to the chief.
I also appreciate from Albert that we had information about how many of those Part 2 crimes were related to alcohol consumption. I don't recall, as long as I've been, that we always get that type of information, and I think that it's important. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner Quill, any comments?
Yes, I do have a comment. I would not be in favor of this project or this conditional use permit for a couple of reasons. Not only the crime in the area and the other elements that attribute to that, but the building in itself, the windows are cluttered up with a lot of paper signs and other advertisements and so on, to where it presents a problem for law enforcement to even see inside the building. So I think that's a big issue when you have alcohol-related businesses and the police have no access to see inside the building. So for that reason, I'm going to vote against this project.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Quill. Commissioner Flores, any comments?
Just a minor comment or just little comment thanking staff for being proactive about this and addressing the loophole about the census tract issue, which is definitely an interesting policy issue. So thank you for listening to the concerns of nearby businesses for denying this permit.
Sure, not a problem.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Armstead?
I did read through the packet and I'm agreeing there's a lot of issues with this one. They don't need another alcohol establishment. So, no, they were all good comments. Thank you, the rest of you, for helping me understand what's going on.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Armstead. Commissioner Lewis, any comments?
Yes, as I frequent that area almost on a daily basis. I pass through there during the AM hours, during the afternoon hours when I'm on my way home, and there is already a loitering problem there. In the parking lot, which would be east of the actual building, and the business next door, that's a really busy area in there. And I'm just not believing that that's going to get any better if we open them up and allow the full ABC to go forward. So I would not be in favor of approving that.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Commissioner Lewis. As final comments, as Commissioner Lewis, I believe you live in this ward. You're a more frequent driver in this area. Your comments actually weigh heavily, I think, on this issue. You already see the problems that are, in that area. This is going to aggravate it. I want to thank Mr. Huntley and I want to thank Albert for providing us the data and for giving us this denial on your part, and really kind of looking out for our city. And thank you, Amelia, as well for commenting on kind of wanting the police to be a little more proactive, kind of making a decision saying, yes, we are in favor or no, we're not. I've read for the past 2-3 years, all these comments from the police reports saying, we neither approve nor deny, so kind of on limbo. And I'd like to sometimes hear an opinion from them, not just reading the report. So I'm in favor with staff denying this this addition to getting the type 21. So by quick show of hands, does anyone have additional comments? If not, then I will close the public hearing item for this item, and I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the staff's recommendation to deny this permit.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Oh, we got a few seconds. We'll go with Commissioner Lewis since it's in your ward, but we heard it from several people. Stephanie, if we could have a vote roll call, please.
Of course. Commissioner Guerrero.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chair Sanchez.
Yes.
Commissioner Quill.
Aye.
Commissioner Flores.
Yes.
And Commissioner Lewis.
To approve or deny?
To uphold staff's recommendation to deny.
I absolutely uphold staff recommendation. Yes.
Thank you. The recommendation is upheld.
All right, perfect. Continuing on to Planning Commission reports and announcements. Stephanie, Mr. Huntley, do we have any reports or comments, or even from the commissioners?
If you want to have the commissioners go first, after they're done, I'll give you, or I'll provide an update.
Perfect. Does any of the commissioners have anything to report?
I have a couple of questions, if I may. And, you know, I read recently in the Sun newspaper about the Amazon Air Regional Air Hub at San Bernardino Airport, that it's being challenged by a lawsuit by the state attorney general and local environmental groups. I guess my question, and I guess it's directed more to Albert, is the city a party to this lawsuit?
You know, I'm not aware of that, Amelia. I'd have to check. Maybe Mike would know, but to my knowledge, we're not.
Okay.
So for the benefit of the commission, more specifically the Commissioner Lopez, it's actually not the Amazon Air, it's actually the landing project. That's the one that Sam Manuel brought forward, that the commission had looked at, made a recommendation for approval, it went to council, council approved it. Now there's a environmental justice group who's actually challenging that project. So we aren't necessarily named at this point, but we're paying attention to it.
Okay, yeah, because we obviously approved it. And it just said in the paper, the Amazon Air Regional Air Hub.
Commissioner Lopez, I think you are correct. I read that too. That, yeah, Mike, it's a separate one where the state attorney general's office was challenging in some way that project. I just don't recall if we're a party to that, if we've intervened. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are two projects there that we're being, or I should say, the environmental is being challenged on.
My second question is kind of a related question. It just seems to be that there's been a lot of stories recently that have to do with environmental and environmental justice. You know, they recently highlighted the warehouse logistics center in Menifee, where they came to a big, huge, tremendous compromise about the trucks and so forth. And then we also had the recent regional report about the air quality being really, really bad in San Bernardino and Riverside. And then there was the quality board, the Regional Air Quality Board recently came out with some new rules about warehouses and diesel emissions. It just seems to be like developing a perfect storm for this environmental justice. My question is San Bernardino one of those cities that is going to be considering a moratorium, or is that a recommendation from the department? And how much is the department going to be looking into all of these things that we might ourselves here need to be considering in the approval of future projects?
So for the benefit of the commission, there's really a lot to share. So really, SEA QMD has come up with some new standards. I think it'd be beneficial if we came back to the commission and provided an update to you so you understand how that's going to impact future projects coming into the city. So you're aware there's been a number of cities in the immediate area that actually have adopted moratoriums, Colton being the first one that was, I think, 2 weeks ago. Rialto also has adopted a moratorium, and this deals more with heavy trucking and warehousing, distribution kinds of facilities. Yucca Valley did, as well as city of Riverside, but that was more of a focused area. So there's a lot of concern about, logistics centers growing in the Inland Empire. I mean, we're really becoming a hub, not just us, but the whole Inland Empire for those kinds of uses for many different reasons. One, because we have abundance of freeway systems. We have great connectivity on the freeways. We have airports. I can go on. And so, and then with the people shopping online, it's really forcing people to, purchase a product, not going to brick and mortar stores, but actually buying online. There needs to be facilities so that the product that gets delivered to your house, has to go through some facility. So
the question that Amelia asked was, are we considering it? Well, staff is not making a recommendation at this point for such an action, but you will hear at the next council meeting, Councilman Reynoso is recommending council consider a moratorium on any new heavy trucking and warehousing facilities in the city. What I will also share with you is that as part of the general plan update and development code update, that's one of the components we will be looking at as part of that. And that's going to be looking at the impacts to the community, right? Land use compatibility, looking at it from an environmental component, a public health issue, meaning people's health associated with the impacts, and I can go down the list. So there are things we will be evaluating as part of the general plan, something that the commission will get a chance to look at and help evaluate too. So the question for the city council right now is going to be, should you adopt a moratorium and have staff evaluate it right now, or should it just be wrapped in the overall general plan update? That's a policy question for council, which they'll discuss at the council meeting on the 19th. And like I said, that's a little long of a description for you, but that's kind of in a nutshell, that's what's going on.
Thank you, and we look to you, I guess, to keep us posted about this, as it is an important topic. My last question has to do with notifications whenever there is a project. I know that the city used to have a 500. I was under the impression that it was already passed by the council for 1,000 feet. But I noticed in this last agenda item, I think the report said notifications were sent out to within 500 feet. Is that the new policy? Has that been implemented, or are we still?
No. So to further clarify, so the state of California identifies specific public notification requirements. State only requires us to notify people within 300 feet. And we have amended that and we've gone to 500 feet. But so just Councilman Alexander, as an example, is going to bring an item back to council for us to consider increasing it from 500 to 1,000, right? And then the other component would be not only to notify the property owner. State law only requires you or us to notify the property owner, but he'd also like us to consider notifying the tenant of the property, because we have a lot of rental property here in town. So that's what his suggestion is going to be. He's going to be seeking city council consensus to bring it back. And that will be a code amendment, and that will actually come back before the commission before it goes to city council. There's other things we could do also. Some cities actually, there was this part of the process that we also notify people in the local paper. Most people don't read the local paper anymore. It's not a good place to look for public notifications. Some cities do require the property be posted, like with a 4x5 poster board, with standardized format identifying what's going on too. So there's different things we could consider, but there is some interest from city council to amend our current standards, and understanding is, where do we stop? Because, do we stop at 1,000 or 1,500 and so on? So, all things being equal, we need to look at a variety of ways of getting the word out on these kinds of hearings. So,
as you recall, Mr. Huntley, that was a very strong recommendation by the Neighborhood Association Council of 1,000 feet.
Yep.
I was under the impression that the city had approved it, but you're saying at this point they have not. And Councilman Damon Alexander is looking to reintroduce it.
Correct. And really, I think the neighborhood associations made a suggestion, no offense to them, and it did come out as part of the TAD facility. I still remember that quite well. And that was one of the things that I know we spent a lot of time, Amelia, on that. So we do. So that's been on our plate, but we need to get a recommendation from council. He is bringing it up, and we will take a look at that. And hopefully he will receive council consensus and we can move forward.
All right, then. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Anything else?
Do we have any other comments from any of the other commissioners? If not, then we'll get the staff.
I have a comment.
Sure.
I have a comment. The Chamber of Commerce, we had a presentation by the developer Gian Torkin with reference to what is proposed or what is going to be proposed at the Carousel Mall. is this something that will keep on going, or Mr. Huntley, is this something that the Planning Commission and probably even the community will be having ongoing meetings, ideas they bring forward, or is that something the City Council will be taking care of? And secondly, I was wondering if the city could provide, I was wondering if the city would probably provide some sort of a ombudsman to help them get through the whole permitting process, or the process to expedite things quickly. It's exciting to see this finally moving some direction.
Sure. So thank you. I appreciate that. So just a general update. So as you're probably aware, actually Gian Torkin's company, I'm sorry. Give me a second. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. ICO. We've blended the two companies' names now, so I had to think about, okay, now what is it? So anyway, so Gian Torkin's company is ICO Real Estate Group. He partnered up with Renaissance Downtown. So the acronym is RDICO. So that's what they're calling themselves. So they partnered up. The City Council approved moving forward with this group to negotiate an agreement that would allow for the development of the Carousel Mall. So I know that Gian is part of the chamber and has shared information. What I want to share with the rest of the group also is that, so it's the development of the Carousel Mall, but the Carousel Mall is a key component in the city's downtown. And we want to make sure that everyone is involved. So there's actually a downtown advisory committee that has been established. We're still waiting for some of the other members to be appointed. But we really, really want the community to be involved with this process too. So as we proceed, it'll be the city working with PlaceWorks, who's our consultant, and also working with RDICO on, you know, visioning plans for the downtown, including the Carousel Mall. But we also want to hear from the community. I mean, really, it's a group effort, so to say, right? We want to make sure everyone's participating in this, because it's about the community, and it's about the community, it's about the downtown, and the downtown's the heart of San Bernardino. So Commissioner Queel will have plenty of opportunity for anyone in the community to participate in those meetings, provide feedback on that. Really, City Council's made the downtown a priority. And I should say the downtown specific plan. The general plan is as important, but they want us to focus and get the downtown specific plan done. So in some regards, it is on a fast track. And then we're going to work through development plans, and you'll hear the term, you'll hear a variety of terms used for the growth and development downtown, meaning that we want to create a form-based code that allow for some flexibility for growth and development. Some of that's based on the development market and how that works. So we really want people to be involved. Now, as far as omnibusman, I will be hopefully bringing on a project manager who can work directly on some of these more significant projects and move things forward a little quicker. But, you know, you are talking about a 43-acre mall. There are a lot of site constraints and stuff we have to work through. It's going to take concerted effort by both us and RDICO to get things wrapped up and move forward. So right now we're working on the terms that we'll be working through in an agreement between us and RDICO. So this will be an ongoing project. And actually, one of my items for the update was the Carousel Mall, so you beat me to it.
I have one more question. One more question, if I could. A trip down Highland Avenue and noticing the burned out Mediterranean and the Gourmet, and even the rubble from the roller rink, is there a time frame, or is there some sort of code that is requiring these messes to get cleaned up?
Yep. So regarding the skating rink, it's taken longer than we'd like. We've been back and forth with the property owner. Really, when there's a fire, what we do is we come in and we'll push the building down, we'll push it in on itself, and then it's usually the property owner's responsibility to clean it up. But we haven't had a whole lot of success with the skating rink owner. We've gone through the asbestos abatement process, and we're giving him 2 weeks to commit to cleaning it up, and if he does it, we're just going to issue an abatement warrant and do it ourselves, and we're going to lien the property. And then if you go farther east, the Mediterranean restaurant, that's a new fire that just occurred. Working with the property owner on that and her son-in-law, and trying to work through some issues with asbestos on that. And we're working with them to actually finish the demo and to clean it up. And then the last thing is the one with the Gourmet, right? That's the other one. That was a recent fire also. That, I think that's a week or two ago. It's like they just go right down the street and burning structures. But so that one's also in code enforcement's list. What I do want to mention to you is that the last council meeting, council directed us to create a nuisance abatement team. You're aware we're pretty short-handed with code enforcement officers, but we're asking for 3 more as part of this budget process. If I can get those 3 more code enforcement officers, we will assign 2 to strictly deal with those more complex abatement projects, and those would be the demolition and hauling off of all that stuff. And it's really an unfortunate state of affairs when you continually see structure fires like that. So.
Thank you, Mr. Huntley. Yes.
Anything else?
Too, Mr. Huntley, maybe you can help me. On the west side, the debris dumping, the construction dumping, are you in control of that at all?
So you're referring to 20th and State Street?
Yes.
Yeah. So just for the group's benefit, the property we're talking about is actually owned by Caltrans. Yeah. Right? It's actually owned by the state of California, and they have a tenant who leased the property. And originally they had allowed him to, dump concrete related to Caltrans projects he was working on. Well, that's long past, and he had been dumping concrete and brick and rock on the property, and it's in really bad shape. So we've been in a constant contact with Caltrans to get them to get this tenant off the property, clean it up. I am in constant contact with Caltrans. They're working on canceling his lease and moving him out. I know Councilwoman Calvin continues to remind me, which of course she should, because we need to get the property cleaned up. So we're currently working on that. What's been difficult for us is that's Caltrans property. It's hard to push the state. The other aspect, the property is not zoned and does not have a legal address or legal APN, which is typically the way we would track code enforcement cases. So we're trying to think outside the box and put pressure on the tenant to clean up the property. So.
Okay. And let's see. And then anything on the used to be Langendorf Bakery? Nothing on that.
You're talking 2088 South Medical Center. I know that one quite well also. So long story short with that one, a couple weeks ago we got them to clean the material off the city's property, which is the vacant lot. Our code enforcement officer is processing that right now. We're waiting for the eviction notice to go through the courts. As you might be aware, the courts have been taking a lot longer because of the pandemic to process paperwork. My understanding is they're close to approving the eviction notice on the property, so we can get all that stuff. I want to call it something else, but all that stuff off the property.
Hey, I'm glad to hear it's moving forward. My last one is I had asked for a list of the cell towers or a map of the cell towers around the city.
I was aware you asked for that. Oliver was working on it. Unfortunately, he's not here today. So that's on our list of things to do for you, and we will provide that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right. Yes, Stephanie.
If all the commissioners are done, and before Michael goes into any further director's report, I have to apologize to Commissioner Armstead. The last 2 items, I failed to call her name for the vote. So Albert, am I able to collectively get her response for these 2 items to include them in on the votes?
Yes.
Okay, so Commissioner Armstead for item number 3, are you in approval?
Yeah, I'm in approval of the car wash, yeah.
Okay, and for item number 4, do you support staff's recommendation?
Support staff recommendation.
Perfect, thank you, I'll notate that.
Thank you.
Perfect. Mr. Huntley, I
All
don't
right.
think anyone else has any more comments, so.
All right. So before I jump into some of the items, I do want to make an announcement. Stephanie Sanchez, who you see every single meeting, has been a dedicated city employee to assist everyone. A number of months ago, she became my economic development specialist. She used to be my the executive assistant to the director. So she got a promotion. So I'm going to have her working on more business attraction, business retention, and marketing, and all kinds of fun things. But so with that happening, someone's got to provide the additional assistance to the director. So one of the things that Stephanie did was she also provides assistance to the planning commission. And since I'm going to have her busy doing other things, we're going to slowly transition. So I want to introduce, so standing next to Stephanie is Tonya Nelson. She's my new executive assistant, but she's also going to be the new face on the planning for assisting the planning commission. So the next few meetings, she's going to be here with Stephanie. Stephanie's going to cross-train her, bring her up to speed, and at some point in the future, Stephanie will focus on other things, and Tonya will be the face you see, the person you reach out to.
Yes.
So.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Tonya. Good
Hello.
to see you.
I know you all thought I was crazy talking to myself, but I was talking to Tonya the whole time.
Well,
Anyway.
it's a pleasure to have you. And
Thank
we're
you.
excited to have you at our meetings and have your input.
All right, so let's jump in. I know that some of the commissioners like to hear about projects, things that are moving forward. So I just want to cover a couple of projects for you. As you are aware, the commission approved the Fifth Street Gateway project. That was the phase 1 for Gian Torkin. That's the area between H Street and on the west and G Street on the north, and it's the north side of Fifth Street. It's the large vacant, those multiple of the vacant lots. You approved an entitlement review probably about 6 months ago. That would allow for a brand new Starbucks with a drive-through. This is a bigger store than the small one on 2nd. The relocation of Del Taco from 2nd Street up here in a brand new store, 7-Eleven, convenience store, and gas. So that, to let you know, we took the sales of the property. These were former redevelopment agency properties. We've finally took the purchase and sales agreement to council at the previous meeting. Council unanimously approved the final sale. We're just working on closing escrow right now. Gion's working on submittal of plans to us. So you'll see a new project happening on that north side. In addition to that, on the south side, just east of In-N-Out, he'll be selling a part of that lot to the east to In-N-Out to improve their queuing for vehicle circulation, which is great because In-N-Outs are generally busy. And then directly to the east of that, he's working on a contract with Sonic. They'll put a Sonic drive-through directly to the east of that. And he's got a list of other tenants that he's working on bringing in. So this will enhance the Fifth Street Gateway as you come off the freeway and go eastbound on 5th. I also want to mention to you, directly to the west of In-N-Out, on the west side of H Street, there's a remnant parcel from the freeway. That was sold to Panda. So Panda is, if you drive by the site right now, directly to the west of In-N-Out, they're under construction to build a brand new Panda drive-through. So we're starting to see a lot more activity for commercial infill projects. So that'll, for me, is one of my responsibilities as economic development. We start to see people invest money in different areas of the city that attracts more people who want to invest also. So this will be a good improvement to the Fifth Street Gateway area. We've kind of covered the Carousel Mall also. We talked about RDICO. We continue to work with them. We're working through what we call the declaration of surplus land on that. So that paperwork's going through council at the next council meeting too, but we're working intimately with them so we can move that project forward. And then just talking about some housing projects, another project, Planning Commission approved a project up on Highland, just east of the 215, south side of the street, just west of Jack in the Box, right? That's north of what was the TAD facility. So that vacant lot is being graded right now. You'll see activity out there. So there's going to be a new Arco gas station with a couple fast food restaurants next door, 2 building pads for restaurants, and then also a car wash. So you're going to start to see the grading there. So that's also going to enhance the gateway as you get up the freeway and go eastbound on Highland. And then the other projects I want to talk about quickly are some of the new residential projects up in the Vermont area. So there's a couple that have moved forward. One of those is the Rancho Palma project. This is just north of Palm. There was an approval of 119 units. That product's under construction. The grading's completed. They're just about done with the 3 models. It's really looking nice. They're actually currently rebuilding Little League right in front of that area as we speak. So there'll be a lot of great enhancements. Across the street from that is a small commercial development next to Alberto's. They're finishing up on a new Jack in a Box with a new sign that someone's putting in. I don't know who that is, but someone's installing that sign. And then there's going to be another restaurant there. And then just if you go over where the Little League Stadium is and you go farther north on Little League, GFR has started their project. That's a 74-unit single-family development. They're out there doing the grading right now. And they're really seeing the demand from the residential market, which is great for the city. So GFR's products moving forward. They were only going to start with 24 residential units to begin with, but there's such a great demand, they're going to grade the whole site and build all 74 units. So there's a lot of interest growing in the city for new infill growth. So for me, it's good to see new market rate housing being built. That'll help, improve the marketability of units in the city. I can't forget about also providing market rate infill housing. One of the things we don't have in the city is what I call buy-in housing, first-time home buyer housing. But once you start to pick up increase the median home value, and other home builders will see that they can make a profit, we'll see some of the residential developers who come in who will build the the buy-in housing. So it's first-time home buyers, because we haven't really seen that in the city. So I see, based on the growth and development, we'll see a lot more of that going on. And it's good to see positive things happening within the city. So I could go on and on if you want, but I'll just stop with that. Just I like to provide some of the good news in regards to what's happening within the city as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Huntley. Hearing that so many projects are coming into the city and they're starting some of the stuff that, we passed through the Planning Commission, it's great to hear. Yep. Things getting started. So,
sure.
Yes, Commissioner Quill, any comments?
No, I just wanted to thank Mr. Huntley for that report. Appreciate all your efforts. Thank you.
Sure. And I just also want to give some kudos to staff. I mean, the commission provides a lot of support, and you do review a lot of projects, but staff on my side, Oliver has been doing a fantastic job with all the rest of the planners. Harold, who is on the meeting tonight, is relatively new, but he's a seasoned planner. But all of them, from Travis to Elizabeth to Mike Rosales to Harold, and then the support staff, Stephanie and some of the other staff we have, really, for the limited staff we have, the number of projects, we've processed a lot. There's a lot of good things that'll happen. So I want to give them some kudos as well. So, and Stephanie's head's starting to grow right now, but that's okay.
That's okay. It's well earned. She's done a lot. Well, thank you so much to all the commissioners and Mr. Huntley, and to Harold. He did a wonderful job presenting his report.
Thank you.
At this point, I think we're ready for adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Also, we've got, there we go. We have Commissioner Lopez as a second. I think we'll do this informally, kind of all in favor to adjourn the meeting. Just raise your hand or say aye. Aye. Perfect. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will see you next month, June 8th at 6 p.m.